Warm welcome to the writer of God is not real even though he exists, atheistic me, myself, and I.
Okay, what fresh hell is this? I mean, this sounds like something that I might do to take the piss of how a Crimsbian thinks that the athei blobs think, but this is on a channel called ChristRighteous. Oh, in the name of Jesus Christovsky and the amazing dancing bear on the hot coals, what have I done? This is a deep pain.
So after going through what has been presented to me...
Ah, cool, it gets worse. He's putting on a fake British accent. How do I know it's fake? A, literally no one on the planet sounds like that, and B, this is what he sounds like normally.
Peace and blessings from God our Father and the mighty Lord Jesus Christ.
Which is, of course, nothing like that abomination he calls an impression. And what's the betting that he thinks it's f***ing spot on and that he could blend in at the local pub? Hello, fellow Brits. What, governor? I was walking up the old apples and pears and done broke mistaken kidney pies. Ah!
All the evidence and arguments for God's existence and the reliability of the New Testament
is totally and utterly bullshit, the end. But of course I've tried this trick too many times before, so I won't pretend anything's gonna change here. No, this guy, obviously, he's gonna keep going on to say some very, very silly things and present them as things an honest atheist would say. I mean, it's basically the title of the video. And he's right. An honest atheist could say all of these things if they had fallen down multiple flights of stairs whilst being kicked in the head by elephants on each floor, finally landing in and consuming a kiddie pool filled with vodka. Very similar to my morning routine, actually, except it's whiskey instead of vodka and I have an Olympic-sized swimming pool. That's why me am so smart.
in all of the arguments for the historicity of Jesus Christ and his resurrection.
Look, I'm not going to get into the arguments for historical Jesus again. Just, I don't buy it, but whatever. But when you add in resurrection, you just lose immediately, because it didn't happen, it doesn't happen, and it will never happen. Certainly not in the way described in the Bible, which is the most cited historical document as proof of it. And I say historical document in an infinite number of quotes, because, yeah, no.
I have came to a conclusion today.
And that sentence is still correct if you remove the words "to a conclusion today." Hey, what are you mad at me for? He's the one that... I don't think he's even going to clean it up with a sock, the dirty bastard.
My arguments against these arguments is that...
Oh my god, if you are going to pretend to be English, could you at least speak the f***ing language, please? Look, mate. I'm even willing to teach you how to speak proper good like what I does. Seriously though, why is he doing this? Oh right, he probably thinks it's how a smart person speaks. But as a filthy limey bastard myself, I know plenty of geezers who speaks bare peng wording and they is thick as shit, mate.
I don't like it.
What? That's what you think an honest atheist will say? Dude, you are beyond delusional. Right, your arguments and evidence for whatever, the reason I and many atheiboos aren't into it, has nothing to do with how much we like it. Because for many of us, belief has nothing to do with liking something and everything to do with being utterly unconvinced of your so-called proof, cause your proof is garbage, which is Italian for not very good.
I just simply don't like it. I can't really think on how to properly refute these arguments, but...
Wow, okay, so that says a lot about how you approach conversations with people who don't believe the same things that you do. When they present you with arguments that go against the things that you say and point out the flaws in the arguments that you believe, they're just lying, because actually they don't have anything at all. And everything that comes out of their faces is just so much white noise, and you're just thinking to yourself, why don't they just admit my God is real? I don't understand how my factual facts about facts that I believe could be anything other than convincing to someone else. And that's why you have no idea what the arguments against them are, because you literally can't hear them. You know, it would explain a lot.
What I can say is that I do not like it. To be honest, the arguments seem pretty aligned with reality and...
No, they really don't. Like, really, really don't. And you would think that with your very clever skit that shows how atheism am the big dumb, you might present, like, a single one of your ideas that does align with reality, but you don't. And yet you act like they do. And the fact that you think it does...
that kinda scares me.
But only in an, I really don't want to watch you fall down all those stairs again because you tried to put on a shirt whilst chewing gum, and that was just far too complicated a set of tasks to achieve at the same time, kinda way.
Because I don't want moral accountability.
In what world do you live that anyone outside of some dude on an island literally in the middle of nowhere has no moral accountability? Well, what a shame for your strawman atheist that he does. There is always moral accountability, because morals are just basic ideas for things various groups of people do or don't like, and will enforce those morals in various ways on each other with various methods. I mean, damn, what a shitty reason not to believe in God. Almost like that's literally no one's reason ever.
I don't want a higher being than myself. In fact, I would much rather be a god of my own life.
Ugh, no, that is not why someone doesn't believe your shit. You know why it's not? Because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, your whole point here is that your arguments are so rock solid and undeniable that basically, really, truly, everyone actually knows you're right, but just chooses to act like you aren't. But that is so incredibly asinine. If your God is undeniably real, then one would have to be literally a certifiably insane person not to do anything other than say, well shit, guess God does the real, let's get worshipping his petty vindictive ass. So unless you think people are just losing their minds at an ever-growing rate, which, well, there's a good chance you do, but if you don't, and you do just think they want to be their own God, as if that's something you could even do, maybe there's another reason they aren't buying it. Maybe, just maybe, there's some fundamental flaws in your shit that they see and you apparently refuse to.
So knowing that there is a God being, a creator and sustainer of all creation above humanity, it kind of scares me.
See? Knowing. For this dude, the very notion that anyone would find that idea silly at best and absolutely laughable at, well, a lot of them really, is completely and utterly incomprehensible to him, as if other people couldn't possibly have different life experiences or just plain viewpoints on the world. Everyone thinks and sees things exactly the way he does. They just make completely bizarre and frankly irrational choices. Dude, I think you might be, kinda dumb, which is German for dumb? No, really.
So what I have to say, my arguments against it is that I don't like it. I am not convinced.
Whoa, hold on there, little buddy of mine. I don't like it and I am not convinced are not the same thing, not even slightly. One means this thing makes me have the bad feels, and the other means I do not believe this whatever you're saying to me. And considering your diatribe about the honest atheist knowing that God does the big real, so saying those in the same breath either means you are a colossal idiot of staggering proportions, or you are trying to be a tricksy little f***er and somehow convince people that they somehow do believe whilst not believing, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I seriously doubt that's going to work, mate. No, actually, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm not sorry.
And I'm not convinced because the evidence is not convincing enough. In fact, I'm not convinced because I don't want to be convinced.
Right. Come here. Fuck you. No, seriously, mate. Fuck you. Right in the hole where all your smug comes from. Because that is so insulting it actually makes my brain hurt. And it's insulting not because you think you know what's going on in other people's heads. It's not insulting because you are essentially calling everyone on earth who doesn't believe as you believe a liar. It's insulting because you think anything you believe is even remotely convincing. That is the most offensive shit I've heard in my life. And I've heard people say that they don't like whiskey. They are the true liars. Well, more for me.
I know I act like I'm very interested in these arguments, and I act as if I'm actually trying to do my true research. And
is this just the bit in the bit where he's playing the internet religious apologist? Because this is some pure uncut weapons grade super projection with a cherry on top otherwise, if I ever did done heard it. It's just everyone's a liar but me, the intellectual guide to arguing on the internet. You know that phrase is a joke and not a mantra to live your life by, right, mate?
Dig deep to see if these arguments are actually aligned with reality, and to be honest, it seems extremely accurate to reality.
Right, what?
Arguments.
You keep saying it over and over again, and yeah, I know this is a skit, but if you're making a skit that's supposed to have a point, in this case being that atheists are filthy, degenerate liars refusing to admit the obvious truth, you might share said obvious truth. You know, because it's so obvious, and the truth. And yet you aren't doing that extremely simple thing. Although then again, didn't you say that they don't look into it? So either this truth is very obvious and on the face of it, or people have to deep dive into that shit. I wonder which it is. I have a feeling it's neither.
I have no real proper arguments against the evidence that has been shown to me.
Fuck's sake, man. I know this is supposed to parody us, but the self-owns are just off the charts. If I were a more organised man, I would keep that and use it for other videos. But alas, I am far too lazy and stupid for such things. But someone should. Hint, hint.
I have no real arguments against the reliability of God's existence, or the historicity of Jesus Christ and his resurrection, or the reliability of the New Testament.
You know, it's weird that you're being specific to the New Testament, because, you know, there's another part of that book, right? And it kind of comes along with it as a package and has some historically completely bullshit things in it. Like, even if you want to say that the New Testament doesn't have any out-and-out ludicrous stories in it, like, well, most of the old one, the fact that they come together as a package kind of makes me pause. I mean, if you wrote a book of true, if slightly wild, but unsourced stories, and bundled them all together with a bunch of tall tales, people are going to assume that they're all bullshit, aren't they?
In fact, I gotta think very hard to try to come up with some foolish argument that makes no sense, but may sound very smart.
The atheists' arguments sound very smart, but they're actually foolish. How do I know? Because I don't understand them, therefore they must be stupid. Not me. No, mate, and the thing is, your arguments, whilst definitely foolish, they don't even sound very smart. They just sound like an old bottle of ketchup that's nearly empty being squeezed for all it's worth. And that really is just a metaphor for the arguments themselves. Nothing in there, but you'll be damned if you won't try to get something out of them, even if it's gross and crusty.
But just doesn't align with reality. I almost have to steal from God in order to argue against him.
Steal what? His non-existence? No, mate, it's okay, I don't need it. It's not really useful. And I don't have to argue against him anyway. I only have to argue against you. And to be fair, I really don't have to do that. It's just funny. But you're the one who has to make arguments for a supernatural being. And based on what I have heard from you today and your absurd non-understanding of who and what atheists are, I have some serious doubt that it's worth more than about 2 squirts of piss. At best.
And it fails every single time. In fact, I don't even know why I'm up here if God doesn't exist. If God doesn't exist...
Oh, here we go. Going to be told why we argue against the things other people say about the existence of God, missing the blindingly obvious point that it's the thing that other people say and has nothing to do with God existing or not. The thing is, dipshit, God could be real and exist and have done many, if not all, of the things you say he has. But that doesn't matter because everything you say he does, did, or whatever has nothing backing it up. I don't argue against God's existence. I don't know. And that's not a win, that's an honest thing you seem not to understand. But as far as I can tell, despite your claims to the contrary, you definitely don't know either. You have no idea. Maybe less so than me, because I can at least tell when an argument is bullshit.
Why do I worry so much about the belief in God?
Why would people who don't believe your story about Skyman and the Wonder Twins be bothered to argue with people who do believe that? And happen to be an enormous demographic who make decisions based on things that, while you see them as clearly true, we see them as clearly bollocks. And the things that he demands of you seem to be outrageously absurd at best and out-and-out evil at worst, and you want that shit put into f***ing law. No, I can't think of a single reason why I would think that it was important to point out why that shit doesn't make any sense. You're right. I'll just give up now. Dumbass.
Why am I convicted so much about moral accountability?
Convicted about moral accountability. What? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I am pretty sure I mostly don't care. Moral accountability is less important than whether or not something lines up with reality, which, just in case it hasn't been made clear enough, your shit doesn't.
The history of Jesus Christ and his resurrection and everything he taught.
Nope. You just aren't gonna stop banging on about that, are you? We're not convinced. A lot of us not convinced of his existence at all. All of us not convinced by his alleged nature of being a Superboy. But the most important thing is, we mostly just don't care. I don't believe it, you can't actually prove it, moving on. Just like me moving on from this video to my 4th bottle of bourbon this last 60 minutes. I call it f***ing ecstatic hour. Wait, before you go, I have something super important to tell you. It's life or death. It will change everything forever. Nope, wait, it's gone. Oh well, probably wasn't important. But while I have you, don't forget to comment, subscribe and notify. And if you want more of my smexy voice, check out Mrs. Six's channel Spoonstaff Stories, where I narrate and voice all the videos, and she does the work. And if you want to support the channel, check out the merch store for cool t-shirts, or check out Patreon, memberships and PayPal to support directly. Finally, follow me on the medias of social to get completely pointless guff and to keep up on the latest releases. Oh, I just remembered what I was gonna tell you. Whatever you do, don't touch the